First, I have to figure out what day it is. Okay, it's
It
Wednesday,
is the 14th.
November 14th. Okay, here we go. Today is Wednesday, November 14th, and this is Daily DVR with Top Shelf Fandom, baby. All right, there you go. And then see on the podcast, the music kind of plays, but we're live on the YouTube, so the music isn't playing. But I want to welcome everyone here for the show. Welcome everyone live on the YouTube and listening on the podcast. This is a lot of fun. Justin, how you doing, baby?
Good. Yeah, it's not as good without the music, you know.
I'm kind of like I thought, like I'm still waiting for it, kind of, you know.
Yeah, I could have done it in the background. So yeah, no, I get you. No, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, everybody. And if you don't know, Axel does 5 of these a week because he's an ambitious man, and
yes, I am.
He does 2 of them for Patreon and 3 for everybody. And that's where I've kind of adapted my formula. So we do this once a week. This is our day. This is kind of for us. And no, but I've been joining him once a week and I really enjoy it. So Axel, if you guys are not familiar with him, anybody that's new to my channel or it's just, not been on the scene, especially for the Westworld stuff, I feel I should tell him where to find you. Podcast Winterfell sound familiar? It should, because that's where he's from. Westworld DVR sound familiar? It should, because that's where he's from. Westworld Theory cast. Sorry, I got the name wrong. So
it used to be Westworld DVR.
Yeah, see?
That's what it used to be, baby. Yes.
Exactly. I'm never wrong. And that's when I was never wrong. So I'm be pompous about it. Yeah, excellent work. And we have been collaborating ever since Westworld. And I'm really happy to have found you. And I like it because you have experience in the industry, which is always good to talk about, to have experience in what you're talking about. I like that. It's obscene for YouTube, but, so we have fun. We have fun, people. I try to do 3 of these a week, and I give 1 to the Patreon, as I always say. The Robert Uncut one is coming to you guys in the Patreon in a few hours. And again, I could give all 3 to everybody, but I'm not going to. I withhold. It's the business model to try to get more Patreons. But it would mean a lot. $3 a month from you can make a whole lot of difference for me. But let's do this, baby.
All right. I appreciate that, Justin. Now, I do want to tell everyone that today we're doing a little giveaway, okay? We got a tie right here. I'm leaning in on the camera there. This awesome Game of Thrones tie. We're going to be giving that away live at the mid-break. Also, we had a giveaway on Daily DVR, and it is Mickey Mouse's 90th birthday coming up. And this is all coming from our sponsor of Daily DVR, the presenting sponsor, and that's cufflinks.com. Let me show you the Mickey Mouse pin too as I lean forward. I got to get my whole desk set up, but look at that. That's it.
And I sent Mickey graphics out with the tie.
Yeah.
And it might seem like an odd sponsor, but they're
no way. It's perfect. This is why I love them. And they have all, and I'll go into our kind of our little ad here, because I do like to say we are doing a little ad there. And Cufflinks has everything, man. I that's funny that you say it. It seemed like an odd sponsor. When they first reached out to me, I thought cufflinks.com. Then I went to the site and I saw they have everything: Star Wars, Marvel, Game of Thrones, DC Comics, NCAA, NFL, NBA. And it's not like chintzy little knockoff stuff like you see my Hand of the King, my right here, Ken. This is like high quality stuff. We actually wore this at Heath Solo's wedding. We had this stuff on. I got to put some pictures up. At a real life wedding I wore.
I don't know who that is. Is that a man of great import?
Oh, of course. Heath Snowlow, the bastard podcaster.
There we go.
We're going to get you on with Heath one time, Justin. He's been laying low, but he's going to come back on the scene. But Cufflinks is here to basically suit all your needs. Who says you can't geek out and look sharp over your favorite TV show or movie and sports team? Go to cufflinks.com. Check out their amazing array of products. Cufflinks is the sponsor for the 3 days of the week that we are free to everyone, and that's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We got the Patreon shows on Tuesday and Thursday, but this is our 2nd week of the sponsorship. And one of the reasons we're concentrating on Game of Thrones today is if you head over to Cufflinks, they just launched like 15 new Game of Thrones products, new ties and pins. They've got all types of awesome stuff over there. Socks.
Can I say something about their ties?
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Do it.
Because like what I was trying to say is it seemed weird at first, and then I went to their site, and I mean, I'm not getting money for this, all full disclosure, but the ties are great because it's like a minimalist approach. Like it looks great, it's fashionable, and it's like you're not wearing like some big Jon Snow face on a tie. You can wear this if you work in an office. Like it looks good. It looks good. And it works. It's still professional. Like if I'm going to the con, this is what I'm gonna wear. So I mean, it's relevant stuff. So I mean, I don't wear cufflinks. I do wear a lot of ties though. So I mean, definitely it works. People get them, and we'll try to get some bobbleheads for you, Phantom D Saint. But yeah, I mean that's awesome, man. So yeah, Game of Thrones for sure though. I mean, I'm getting excited again. I'm getting giddy.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting giddy, man. And that's why I thought it would be a good time when they're launching these new products on the site today. You can go over to cufflinks.com and check them out. And also, though, I do want to remind you that they're still doing their 30% off. Use code Disney30. Get 30% off all Disney products all month long to celebrate Mickey's 90th birthday. We'll be back. We'll talk about cufflinks again at the mid-break. But let's jump right in, man. I don't have too much feedback today. I did have a little bit of email that I wanted to give a shout out. And since we're live here on the air, I can give a shout out to my man, John Wambacher. John recently ran, and, you know, we've talked a little bit politics here and there on the show. And, you know, politics are kind of forefront on many people's mind these days.
I'm a Trump guy.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you are, brother. And John ran for county commissioner in Maine, and he won. And I just wanted to give him another shout out. And he wrote to me to talk a little bit about his night. So I do like to have feedback on the show. So I wanted to read that from John. He
Absolutely. Writes, congratulations, John. Sorry.
Yeah. Isn't that awesome, dude? So many people these days, you know, you can tweet and you can go on Facebook, but I was really inspired. And there's other people in my life I know too that are using this opportunity to really get involved and go out there and use their own time and energy to help out their fellow citizens. So this was kind of cool. He just wrote a little paragraph about what that night was like. So John writes, I wanted to let you know your characterization of what the county commission does is correct. In my county, we have 3 commissioners, and we are the highest elected officials in county government. We have a county administrator that serves the commission. So each places can be different. I've actually covered a lot of city council meetings where, you know, the mayor sits on and they make decisions. So it's actually pretty interesting. Let me tell you a little bit about election night, John continues. We were home by 10 o'clock from the party we went to, and the numbers weren't coming in yet. We sat on the couch and I followed the returns on my laptop and phone. My wife got a text from the folks at our poll that I had won our town by 241 votes. You know that feeling when you get when you know inside it's one of those big life moments. It just started building. My wife fell asleep and I kept seeing the towns coming in and my numbers going up until all reported around 3 a.m. I had friends and family all over the country following the race and my updates on Facebook. Thanks for all the encouragement and the shout outs on the show. So John, no problem, brother. We're all proud of you. It's awesome. And keep on writing in. Tell us about your meeting. I mean, seriously, man, as much as you want to share with us, I would love to share it with everybody else because I think that it's super interesting and you have a great perspective. And also tell us what you think about Game of Thrones. So thank you, John. That's all. You going to run for office, Justin, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I can't run again for a few years because of the incident.
Okay.
Scandal. But yeah, I would like to really. Me and Robert were talking about the topic of I took the Night King out of the situation of Game of Thrones, and because it's really interesting. He has this really great series called it's all about Robert's Rebellion, and he just goes through it and he details all the events. It's very, very good. And I started thinking about it because we always think about the Targaryens as this like dynasty of like monsters, right? Because that's how you're, especially and this is what's great about you, Axel. You are more show centric, so you could maybe speak on this, you probably think, if you just have watched the show, that, you know, like, oh, the Targaryens, they were all bad and crazy because, you know, that's all you hear. There was a rebellion and they got rid of the guy that was burning people. But they were a dynasty for 300 years out of the 8,000 some years that, you know, there's recorded history of, because that's George R.R. Martin. He's like, not going to finish the books when we're at 8,000 years of history, but that's what makes it so good. You know, and I started to think, I'm like, how would people feel? Let's take the Night King out of the situation, because, you know, he's going to unite everybody, because what is a more, there can't be a more perfect, like a perfect example of like a uniting force than having to go against literally the dead. Like they said, everybody that's breathing is on the same side. So he's going to bring people together. So I thought, okay, that's going to affect the outcome of how they decide to run the government or change it after. The perspective of Dany is going to be different. I thought, let's take the Night King out of it and look at this situation as, what if Dany just came back and tried to, you know, rule Westeros? What would the people of Westeros think about a Targaryen rule, you know, to bring back the, you know, Targaryen dynasty? Because Robert had his foibles and all that, but during his time of rule, you know, we might see in the show, the small council knew of his fiscal issues, but there was very little conflict. There was the Greyjoy rebellion and all that. Robert wasn't a good king, but a lot of people crap on him a lot, especially like content creators talking about him. They say how bad he is. For the people, he wasn't that bad. He was a fool, yeah, and the small council had to deal with him, but it's like there wasn't a lot of conflict. There was some peace, but 300 years of Targaryen rule wasn't all bad. And we do see how all of the lords are not so great themselves. During the rebellion, you have lords that are turning on their, you know, who they're aligned with, just in order to maybe get a little bit more power. You know, it's like, we might say the Targaryens got paranoid and they got all this, but it's like, yeah, they got paranoid, but there was actually some reason that they maybe should have been paranoid as well. You do have a lot of people plotting against you. You don't go burning people, but that's what we were talking about, a little bit of alternative history, how Westeros would do with Targaryens being reinstated, blah, 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 if you take the Night King out of it. But, you know, like, we always look at the show and we just feel like it's this thin line of madness. Like, all Targaryens are going to be mad, but it's like, what the show's really about, what the people of Westeros are going through because of people like the Starks and the Lannisters that they're going and dying for their wars. You know, I think that's the message George is trying to push. So yeah, we had a really,
so that's why you're not running for office.
Wait, running for office? Oh, no, yeah. How did I get? I went off on, yeah.
I don't know if you got that. Was very interesting, though, Justin.
Well, we just got listening. I was getting into it. Yeah, no, well, the reason I'm not running for office is because I burned a bunch of people with dragons.
Because because it makes sense. Because like the Targaryens, it takes a long time. I understand what you were saying. You were trying to explain about how your past can come back to haunt you.
Oh, there, yeah, that is actually it. Yeah, no, I forgot about that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll maybe do something. I'll be a comptroller or something.
I like it, baby. I like. All right, well, let's get to the news, man. I got a couple little pieces of news before we get deeper into Game of Thrones, and I'm glad you said that, because as I'm listening to you, that's something that I'll get to it when we talk about it. But it's about the content creator stuff too, which I always love when you talk about. But let's cover a couple little bits of news. I do love talking about news on this show, and it's been a lot of fun to do that. And one of the shows that I've actually watched, and Justin, I bring this up because last time you were on, we had a whole conversation where I said, hey, Netflix is doing this show. Oh, I'm excited to watch it. And your response was, don't get too excited. They're probably going to cancel it. Their new thing is just to do one season of everything so they have it on the service. And then they don't really care and they don't invest in it, and then they cancel the show. So I then said to you,
that was not my.
Well, you kind of said something like that, right? You were like, don't get too excited. They cancel stuff a lot.
It's not a guaranteed. Yeah, it's easy to greenlight for a one-off, I guess.
Exactly.
HBO will string people along and not care as much because they just don't want you to. Yes, that is my stance, people. Just in 2020.
just in 2020. And by that time, Burning the People, no one will remember, man. Don't worry. It's 2 years away. But anyway, it turns out that one of my favorite recent shows that I literally just finished watching on Netflix and said to myself, I can't wait until season 2 comes out. And I've even been talking a little bit about it on Facebook and stuff and on this show. And it's called The Good Cop on Netflix. And it stars, it's not like I know there's probably not a lot of YouTube people talking about, you know, Josh Groban and Tony Danza in a kind of silly jazz, New York infused Murder, She Wrote style hour-long procedural, which is what The Good Cop was. But I really love this show, and Netflix canceled it already. They just premiered the series, and they just, you know, just The Good Cop will not return for a second season. We're grateful to the creator, blah, blah, blah. And we thank Tony Danza and Josh Groban for bringing this classic odd couple father-son story to Netflix. Now, I wonder if this will get picked up somewhere else. I'm not sure. I don't know too much behind the production. I'm not even sure where it was shot. It had a ton of New York exteriors, but I doubt it was shot. It kind of looked like it may have been New York, but then again,
probably Toronto.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's probably Canada. But anyway, a sad note, and I know for listeners of Daily DVR, I have been extolling the virtues of The Good Cop. But the thing is, though, Justin, it's gone. But unlike so many of those shows that we watched when we were growing up on the networks that went away and then we never saw it again and you couldn't tell somebody to watch it, there is a season of The Good Cop on Netflix now. And I would tell people, if people say to me, it's a pretty nice standalone season too. It kind of ends a little bit on a cliffhanger, but it's not really a serialized show. But I still think it's kind of cool, you know. But sadly, this show, which I really enjoyed, is now canceled. So no more Good Cop, Justin. I know you're very, very upset about that.
Yeah, I'm a big Tony Danza fan. He loves Trump. But no, yeah, I did see that got canceled. But, you know, that does suck. But hopefully now with the different streaming services, there are always chances for Amazon and other people to pick it up. So, you know, one man's garbage is Netflix, you know, treasure. Amazon, vice versa. A lot of people are talking about, they're talking about Sabrina, which I know you watch in the chat.
Yeah.
And they're talking about Sally Draper being the new one. We're also talking about Outlaw King in the chat, which I loved, and I'm doing a standalone video on.
I haven't. You told me to watch that. I started watching it. I read a little bit about it, and maybe I'll join you for that because I was actually going to finish watching that tonight because I just started it, and then I was like, this is too good. What basically happened is I was doing my thing, which is I build Gundam models. I build like robot models. You know, we're live on YouTube. I should get up and like grab a Gundam model and show it to everybody. But maybe I should just do things like that instead of talking about it. The long story short, I was kind of watching and I was like, no, I really have to watch this. This is a movie to really watch, you know, because I thought it was just kind of like an action-y thing, but it has a little bit more to it. But maybe I'll join you for that, man.
No, yeah, it's very historical accuracy is off the charts.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
It's done by the same guy that did Hell or High Water, the same director.
Yes, he's great.
I mean, they're wearing gambesons and stuff, meaning like those are like the big poofy like sweater looking forms of
dude,
armor.
I was gonna wear a gambeson today, but I didn't.
Mine's at the gambeson cleaner. But the point is like that's stuff that people don't usually do because they want people like in like shiny armor. Like they like Braveheart has a bunch of kilts. There was no kilts at the time. You know, even all like the cynics, like the very, very like uppity historical YouTubers are just praising the hell out of it, and it's entertaining. It starts off with Stannis Baratheon playing Edward II, and he has Wolfbane, which is the largest trebuchet ever built that they launched on Sterling. Sterling, and I'll be quiet after this, you probably saw it, but Sterling actually, Sterling Castle, they did surrender like months before this, but it took him 4 months to build, so he was going to launch it anyways because he's like, it was a waste of time. Largest trebuchet in like human history.
Oh,
so,
I remember seeing that. Yeah, that was kind of cool. I don't know anything about the historical accuracy, but I do know that the beginning of the film starts out with about a 6 to 7 minute continuous shot that I thought was acted and directed. I thought the whole thing was absolutely amazing because they also enter and exit a tent 3 times during that one shot. And if you know about film, whenever you're entering and exiting places where the light is changing so dramatically, it's a real pain in the ass. And the way they were able to accomplish that extremely well, I really like to see it behind the scenes how they did it. But I got one more piece of news for you, because I do want to I want to talk about that movie with you when you do that video. We should talk about that. But Justin, I thought about you when I chose this piece of news. I know you might be upset about this, so get the tissues ready. The proposed reboot of Alf has been killed. It's scrapped. They're not going to reboot Alf. For whatever reason, they had an idea and they announced it a while back, and I talked about it on the show because this actually was my grandmother's favorite television show. But no more Alf. So are you okay with that? Are you sad? Yeah. How you feeling?
Well, I didn't know about it. Do you think it had anything to do with the demographic as your grandmother?
Well, she's dead.
It's crazy. Well, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, actually, but it may be something to do with the demographic being deceased.
I don't know. Maybe it's Game of Thrones, right? They figured there aren't as many White Walkers like my grandmother around anymore. Yeah. So
it's not pulling good with the dead people, you know.
But that's sad, though. I think it's funny because actually, there's another piece of news today that the Oscars, the Academy, the president of the Academy gave a speech, and someone asked them about the proposed award for Best Popular Film. And he was like, well, you know, we voted on it, then we kind of floated it, and people didn't really like it, so we pulled it back. But we might try again to launch that in a different time and see if we can market it differently. It's just interesting to me that, like with this Alf thing, basically what happens is they get together and they say, okay, let's announce that we're going to do a reboot. And then if it goes viral and people like it, they go through with it. And if it doesn't, they just wait, let it die. And then a couple weeks or months later, they just do a little bitty announcement. Oh, no, guess what? We're not going to do that. It didn't work out. And it's interesting because that does say something about fandom, doesn't it? And it does say something,
you know, the waters.
Yeah, I think that's something new. That's not anything that the networks ever did. They never said, hey, guess what? This fall, we're launching a new show. And then if people are like, we're not interested, like, oh, we canceled it. That never happened.
Well, that's how Deadpool got made. And that's actually with a few people were talking about Rob Stark maybe being the 007. And I actually have some feedback from, and I think she's in the chat. So if you don't mind, I'm going to knock it out.
Yeah, do it, baby.
I have the top shelf questions at mail.com. If you guys got any top shelf questions or have anything that you want to say to me personally that is too violent or, you know, aggressive for the comments, you can also send it. Have a go at me. But top shelf questions, all jokes aside, for, you know, my independent show, and, you know, maybe I'll put a few on here if Axel allows me. I pretty much talk until he shuts me up. So we have I put out there about how people feel about Richard Madden being potentially the new Bond, which this has already been kind of squashed. That this, again, is what you were talking about, Axel. People started buzzing about him maybe being the new 007 and said there was talks. They were having talks about this, but in fact, they really weren't. And now it could lead to talks, but it was just people started buzzing about it. Who knows? Maybe it's PR people did it. So I asked people how they felt about it. And this is Alicia Kingston. You guys know her, AK. I think she's still in the chat. She has a wonderful YouTube channel. And she gave me her feedback through mail.com. And she put, if the producers are going to going for a younger Bond, then yes, I think Richard Madden would work. I've seen snippets of the new show he's working on as a secret agent bodyguard, and that is the Bodyguard on Netflix, what she's speaking about, and he certainly fits to the role. For a more seasoned actor, though, I'm all for Idris Elba. He oozes swag and smoothness. I hope AK would say that much better than me. He oozes swag and smoothness, and we already know he can handle the physical work. I totally agree about Idris Elba. If they're gonna recast Bond, I think it should be Idris Elba.
Do you think? I think he's a little old, man. I felt the same way.
Ageism, man.
Hey, listen, that's not. I'm allowed to say that because I think that I don't agree with any of that kind of stuff when it comes to Hollywood and casting. You cast, but the honest opinion is, I liked him because I think they needed somebody younger. I think Daniel Craig is he's craggly, bro. Craggly.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's I'll link Alicia's channel and a lot of you guys that are in this chat.
But I love Idris, though. I don't want to.
Yeah,
I agree
my view on Madden, though, and this speaks to what you're talking about getting buzz, is they're testing the waters, and is that I think he's a really good actor, and he's really good at, excuse me, expressing emotion without speaking, through his facial expressions and emoting through his actual physicality. And he comes off in Medici's, he comes off as a very good actor, but that show's garbage, but also very meek. He's also very meek, meaning in as Rob Stark, even he's never like a big, I don't know, action star leading man. He's always kind of
I understand. You know what you're saying, Justin?
Silent type.
Yes. We were see, great. I was saying the strong silent type. You're right. He seems more like a trouble. Well, I mean, I say that from Bodyguard, but when you talk about him on Game of Thrones, you're right. He seems to have an internal monologue that he is not sharing with the audience. And that is attractive in certain roles because it pulls you into him, right? But I find that I feel a little bit like Daniel Craig has the same kind of thing in James Bond, where I feel like I can't access him. He draws me in. I want to access him, but I can't. And I feel like he was given the same thing, but I'm not sure if I want that. And Elba does something different. Elba is like, yeah, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. You're right. Because Craig's character does deal with PTSD. Yeah. So he's internalizing that. Now, Richard Madden, he is a softer, if that makes sense. He's softer. He's obviously softer than Craig. Not that he's weak, but I just don't see Bond in him. Yes,
don't forget they can do a lot with makeup and getting built, Well,
yeah, and I'm not saying he can't do it because he's a very talented actor. Renaissance Medici, that show was hot garbage, and I still have watched it 5 times because he did a very good job, and I'm just a history fucking I'm an addict. So
love it.
But I mean, it was garbage, and he's a great actor, but I just always see that little bit of meekness in him, when they come up with him about winning the battle in Game of Thrones, and they're the bards will sing of this, he's like, but they won't be allowed to hear it, or they won't be alive to hear it, he's always very somber. So James Bond can't be like that. So yeah, Idris, if they're going to do it, make it Idris. But now it's become a whole culture clash thing, and it's just out of hand. I think Idris Elba's just above it. He's like, I'm not even going to do it.
Well, what is it, race stuff or anything? I don't know. People are stupid, dude.
It's not relevant.
That has anything to do with anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have it. And listen, no offense to Ian Fleming, but I've read almost all of the Bond books. It's not like this guy was Shakespeare and we've got to hold to what he was writing, Sorry.
Yeah, and there's not a cultural divide as much. There's not as much of a cultural divide as
not at all. Exactly.
Original. So the class system,
yes.
It's whatever. It's not doesn't really apply.
You're right. James Bond, you're absolutely right in the sense that the story of James Bond is not one that is in any way contingent on who he is really. You know what I mean? He is basically what James Bond is, even from the novels. He's a he's a private. He's a he's an assassin, a man who can kill. He's a ladies' man. He's smart. He's funny. He's crafty. That's about it.
Yeah, he's the cool guy.
He's a little troubled though. He's a kind of troubled.
Batman puts on the persona of the playboy to like hide his superhero.
Yes.
James Bond is the playboy, and he's like inconvenienced by being the badass. He's like actually, he's shaking, not stirred. He's like, oh, do I have to go do badass shit now? All right, well, I'll sleep with all these beautiful women later, and I'll do it. It's very inconvenient for me. So yeah, but absolutely.
All right, I got 2 quick pieces of news, and then we're going to give away some stuff, and we're going to jump into Game of Thrones, okay? And actually, both of these pieces of news are somewhat Game of Thrones related, which is the first one is that Hulu plans multiple wild card series. So I don't, if people are fans of Wild Cards, which is an anthology that Grimm has edited, and I believe he wrote a couple short stories for it. Did he?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Now Hulu has optioned, they're going to make multiple series out of this because these are a story. I guess basically the story is in 1946. Someone, I'm just reading off of Dark Horizons here, drops a chemical agent on New York, and some people mutate, some people die, and some people get like magical powers. And now time has elapsed within this world and through these stories. So there's a lot that can come from that, from a next generation of people or whatnot. And so Hulu's going to make a bunch of series about this, which is kind of an interesting idea, to take an anthology, pick some stories and make multiple series that maybe they're creating kind of a universe from it. That's the popular thing to do these days, right?
Gotta have a verse.
Gotta have a verse, baby. We're going to call it the
fandom verse. I got.
Yeah, wait, Wild Cards extended to WCEU or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's just important to write a story so you can tell other stories. That's all you got to do.
Yes, exactly. Have it all connect, because we all live in a world. Now, also at the same time, Sci-Fi Night Flyers is coming out pretty soon. And they're doing an interesting thing where they're releasing it all online and then releasing it they're basically streaming it on the channel, running all the episodes over and over again for like a weekend or something. So Grimm has got a lot happening pretty soon. And the last piece of news before we get to our little giveaway here is that it is confirmed that Pedro Pascal has been selected and hired as the lead in The Mandalorian, the Star Wars live action Jon Favreau produced series that will be premiering on Disney Plus, the streaming service, I think sometime in late 2019. Supposedly they already started doing not principal photography, but locations, and there were some shots I saw. So it's happening. So that's kind of cool. I mean, he was fantastic in Game of Thrones. That's one of the best characters in the TV show. I can't speak for the books, but
yeah, today is not the day I die, says the guy that died that day. He was really good in the Pablo Escobar Narcos.
Oh, okay. I did not see that. I got to watch Narcos, baby. There's a new season of Narcos coming out too, Mexico.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right? I didn't see that. I'll have to check that out. I didn't know.
Yeah. Yep. It's coming out, baby, pretty soon with the dude from Ant-Man and who's the other guy in it? I can't remember. But anyway, they've got some. It might be Diego Luna. Might be the other star of it.
It's got to be different cast, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's a totally different cast. It's a totally different story, just set, which I think they originally wanted to do with that series. So that's my little bit of news. I know you're not super excited about The Mandalorian. I am, though. I have to admit it. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I'm not on the edge of my seat for it, but yeah, I think it's going to be a better. Well, you know how I feel. I like
I know, bro.
I like the Star Wars. You know what I feel.
You do.
Yeah, I'll probably enjoy it. I'll indulge. So yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right. Well, let's take a short ad break. Once again, thank you to the presenting sponsor of Daily DVR, cufflinks.com. They've dropped some awesome new Game of Thrones items. You can go check those out, as well as their hundreds of other products from DC Universe, Marvel. They've got fantastic. Even I was talking about Toy Story the other day. They've got Toy Story cufflinks, and it's all high quality. And like Justin said, it's stuff that you could wear, and people don't even know that you're repping. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the cool thing about this stuff. You got a tie on, you got a pin, even a tote bag, and it looks like high fashion, and really you're geeking out. So I like that. So now I had a little giveaway on Daily DVR, and I'd give away the Mickey pin. And that was basically anybody who wrote me an email. I was just like, look, write me an email. I'm going to send you out this pin. I put everybody's name in a hat. I picked it out, and I have a winner. And she's somebody, and this is so awesome that this happens like this. Every time I do a giveaway, there's like a connection, and that's because I like to have a connection with everybody that's involved. But it's Jenny. So Jenny, you won this, and Jenny has been joining me on my Mayans journey this whole season, writing in awesome feedback about the Mayans, and I picked it out of the hat, and that's what it is right there. Jenny, you win this awesome Disney little Mickey pin. I got it. Look at that. I'm even putting it inside. So you like that, Justin?
I do. I also am
going
to give Jenny gifts if she writes notes for me. I looked at those Mayan notes. Those are so in depth. I mean, that's awesome. Like having a researcher on staff.
Yeah.
So yes, Jenny, remember, whatever he's paying you, I'll double it.
Which is nothing. She's just awesome. So thank you, Jenny. And that was just a total coincidence. So I thank you, everybody, for writing in. I had a ton of emails, and even DJ Tim Hines wrote in. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. Heard from a lot of new people and was able to connect with them. And it's just great to know that so many people are listening to the show. We had a ton of entries, and it's always awesome when it just works out like that. And I was like, I was actually looking through, but I was like, I should just give something to Jenny for this. This was so fun, you know? So that's awesome. But now let's move on. And of course, thank you to our sponsor, cufflinks.com. Let's move on. Now, how do you want to do this? We didn't really talk about this.
No, we didn't plan it out.
We didn't plan it out, but that, you know what? That's
I'm
by doing.
Question. I'm thinking Game of Thrones question. Okay, Amanda Kane, my faithful moderator. I'm going to give everybody a few seconds. I'm just going to go off the top of my head with this. And first person to answer correctly, we'll give it to.
All right, let's do it. And now, Jenny knows how to contact me, dvrpodcast@gmail.com. Whoever wins this here in the chat, and this is going to someone who's live watching us right now, live in the chat. So thank you all for doing that. You're just going to email me at dvrpodcast.com, and we'll figure that all out. Oh, by the way, you can also check out dvrpodcast.com if you want to see about all those other podcasts that Justin was talking about. So dvrpodcast@gmail.com, and Justin will probably know the person in the chat or be familiar with them. But this tie is killer, man. Look at this thing.
Yeah, I want it. I tried to get it.
It's like geometric. It's...
Yeah.
This is high quality stuff too, people.
Okay.
Let me see. I can see kind of. I want to.
I'm trying to make sure I got a good one here. I want to make sure I got this.
This is fun. All right, we're asking a Game of Thrones question, and whoever gets it first.
Let's see here. Let's see.
All right, let's talk. While you're doing that, I'll pump up cufflinks.com. Go over to their site. Like I said, they just launched a bevy of new Game of Thrones products. And also, remember to use code Disney30. You're going to get 30% off any Disney order for the whole month of November to celebrate Mickey's birthday. It's fantastic. I love they're a family company. They're great people. I love working with them. And like I was saying to Justin, and I've talked about it on my show. It's great to have an advertiser that actually it's like everything I want to talk about, they have stuff that is related to it, and it's high quality stuff, and they're really good people. So go over and check them out and share that with your friends and stuff, and tell people about them. If you know somebody getting married, tell them, go to Cufflinks. They're always running sales. They're always willing to help out. And you email them, they have great customer service. They'll talk to you. They'll work something out with you. They're just fantastic people. So cufflinks.com, baby. What have we worked out, Justin? That was
all right, guys. We all know that Robert Baratheon was not at the Battle of the Trident. 1, 2, 3. Where was Robert Baratheon during the Battle of the Trident? Robert Baratheon was hurt. Where did he go when he was hurt during the rebellion?
All right. The first person who answers this question, a little kind of bookish question. I think I might know the answer to this, though.
You can't get the tie. You can't get the tie.
I know. I don't. But it's so cool, though, man. I didn't. Wait, we can't win it?
No, we could have kept it, but that would have been immoral.
Man. That is true.
Again, Robert Baratheon was not at the. Oh, we got it.
Oh, we got it. Okay, who's our winner?
Stoney, the guy that runs the trivia channel, my boy Milt, Westerosi Ninja. I guess, yes. So, yeah, Stoney Sepp, that is it. So, yes, he showed up. Yes.
All right, tell us.
Oh my God! Yeah, I said that incorrectly. I'm so sorry. I meant that. I meant Tower of Joy. I meant where was he after that? Sorry, because after the Battle of the Bells, he gets hurt. There's a gap. I messed this up. I totally messed this up.
Couldn't you do something simple like how many dragons does Daenerys?
Yeah, he kills Ragnar there. Why did I say Battle of the Trident?
You're such a geek, man. I love it.
Oh, I messed that up. Yeah, that's so stupid. Yeah. No, well, there's a big. Yeah, I messed it up. We might have to redo it. We might have to redo it.
Just do it. This is what I say. Whenever there's a giveaway involved and there's a mistake, you have to, and the person who may have won, we do apologize, but you have to just kind of wipe the slate clean and try again with something clean because it gives everyone a fair chance, right?
Yeah.
So why don't we come up with a very simple question, a more simple question.
Okay. All right.
And then it'll be more of a race to the keyboard. You know what I'm saying?
There we go.
So get ready, everyone in the chat. Get ready. Ooh, I can feel the excitement. We're giving away a tie.
All right.
Promise more.
Name the 3 dragons that Aegon came to Dragonstone with. What are the 3 dragons that Aegon came to Dragonstone with originally?
I say ask a simple question. Yeah, really hard.
It's not a hard one. It's the 3 only 3 dragons survive. The ones that he conquers Westeros with. Name all 3 dragons that Aegon the Conqueror conquers. There we go. And it's the same guy, so I knew it would have been Balerion, Myrsaxes, and Vhagar. So yeah, there we go, Milt. I am ashamed. I'm going to lose all my credit. Listen, guys, I was trying to think of it on the spot. That was a niche little question. Obviously, I'm aware he killed him at the Trident, but, it is what it is. The thing is, there's a gap in the rebellion, and nobody knows why Robert shows up with the Stony Sept hurt.
Okay,
so that's
Justin,
why I found it to be interesting.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to make sure. Do we have a winner?
Yes, we have. It is the Westerosi Ninja.
Okay, Westerosi Ninja. You won this awesome cufflinks.com Game of Thrones official tie. Email me at dvrpodcast@gmail.com and I will send this to you. And tell everyone where you got it from. When you get it, tweet it out, show it to people, let everybody know. I like that. That was super fun. Hey, Justin, you did a great job. I put you on the spot there to come up with a question.
The opposite of a great job. I mean, thanks for being great. That's the opposite of a great job. Like my niece knows that. You know what I mean? So
I don't care. I think it's fun. This is all fun for me, man. We're having a good time. We're talking geek
it's
stuff.
Very embarrassing. It's shameful for me.
Oh, you're not. I listen. I reverse shame you. Yes. See that?
No,
I figure out how to say it.
It's fine. It's fine. I'll find somebody else that did something worse. All right. Moving on. Milt, congratulations, the Westerosi Ninja.
Yes, Milt is his name?
Yes, and he runs the Citadel of Trivia, where ironically they do this. Okay. And I guess I always say, man, that's so easy to do. Those fools. And then look at me, I can't do it.
Hey,
So,
maybe next time, you know what we can do? Maybe if we have a giveaway for Game of Thrones next time, we can ask Milt to join in with us, and he can come up with the question, and we can do like a 3-person kind of giveaway, and we'll give something away. We'll see if Milt wants to do that. I don't know. I'm just talking off my ass. He does
the Lay of the Land Westworld series with me because he's a
geophysicist.
Okay. He's a geophysicist, so you know, like yeah,
wow.
Yeah, he's all smart. He's not a great guy though, so just be careful. Don't invite him. Now
his name is Milt. You know, you gotta be careful, people.
No, he's my boy. Good job, Milt.
I like that. His name Milton. My stepfather, Sanfardo Shapiro, had a friend named Milton. He always talked about him, Milton. Yeah, well, listen. Is that your grandfather?
No, my grandpa had a friend named Vinegar Joe.
Oh, Vinegar Joe.
Yeah, Vinegar Joe. That son of a bitch. So all right,
you know, back in the day, people had better nicknames. Now we call people like crude kind of things, but back in the day,
you had like Chucky Cheeseburger, or like, you know what I mean, like
Jimmy 2 times, you know, stuff.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
Also people were horrible people back then with like, you know, like very social biases and stuff. Back in the good old days, you know.
Well, listen. Thank you to cufflinks.com. I want to bring us out of this ad break and the giveaway. Milt, Westerosi Ninja. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for participating, and congratulations, I should say. Email me. We'll get that out to you. That was a lot of fun, man. I want to do that again. This live thing is a lot of fun today, Justin. Thanks for putting up with me, and we're having a fun time. But I do want to – let's talk about Game of Thrones. But before I talk about Game of Thrones, I do want to mention – there's not a ton of stuff. Usually I cover what's streaming and what's on, and there's really not a ton of stuff. You know, I mean, of course I'm going to watch Survivor tonight. I'm a huge, do you watch Survivor? I never asked you that, Justin.
No, I tell you, I don't.
You don't watch any TV, I know, but everyone.
No, the reality stuff I used to watch a lot. I just can't get into it.
Yeah, I understand. You know, it can be there's definitely I can see where some people just don't do reality anymore, and I can understand that. You know,
when I DJ'd, I had to get those. I got those people for the clubs, so like I know, like I don't know. You give them $2,000, they show up in Detroit. I mean, they're dirtballs.
I know, dude. Oh, I know. The whole scene is, but I kind of
landing from the real world is cool.
Yeah, we all have our things that we can kind of see as funny, but some as like I just can't take it. You know, and I understand totally what you're talking about, dude. There are some people I dealt with music and stuff that I'm just like, I have like some biases against like bands that I shouldn't have, basically just from shooting videos and concerts so often, you know. But anyway,
it's important to have hate in your heart. You know what I mean?
It's important. I wanted to shout out that again. I always mention this, and I just wanted to take a moment to give everyone, just to remind everyone and kind of espouse the awesomeness and the insanity of Amazon Prime. I don't think that this is talked enough about in like the TV kind of fandom realms, but the crazy, weird Amazon Prime has such weird shit. It's basically become like the repository, like the midnight shows that were on, you know, your local TV station when you were growing up. You find this weird stuff on Amazon, and every day they're just adding more and more docs and weird programs that I forgot about, that I had even seen or heard about. And one of them came back. It's on Amazon now. And Justin, you should check this out. It's called Showrunners. And it's a documentary about TV showrunners.
Yeah, that's got Terrence. It's got Boardwalk Empires.
Yep.
I've seen it. It's Fringe, an excellent doc.
It's got Stephen DeKnight. It's got Damon Lindelof, J.J. Abrams, everybody. I mean, and it doesn't just cover geeky stuff. They've got all types of people on it. It's a great documentary. Check it out on Amazon. It's called Showrunners. It just landed on Amazon yesterday. There's also a documentary that I'm trying to find here because I happened upon it on Amazon, and it's Oh man, see, I'm losing it right here. And it was called, what's it called? Oh, Coast, here it is. Coast Modern. And I watched this last night, and it's a 2012 hour-long documentary about how the modernist architectural movement changed when it moved to the West Coast. And it covers a lot of houses in the Pacific Northwest, which is where I live, California. It's a great documentary. And if you look up this documentary, it's called Coast Modern again, you'll find when you look at what other people have watched, there's like 10, 15 weird architectural documentaries on Amazon that I just love. So let's get to Game of Thrones. I know people want to hear it, but I just wanted to shout that out because I love Amazon and I love weird documentaries. Check out Coast Modern on Amazon. I don't know if you're a fan of architectural documentaries or kind of weird stuff like that. Design.
Well, I mean, I like, I've been out to LA and stuff, and I love the architecture. That's, you know, what I take. It's like the old Italian built villas built into the cliff. So yeah, I like all that. But I don't got your coastal liberal views, buddy. I'm from North Carolina.
Oh. Yeah. Oh well, I'm from New Jersey, so that's who I am.
Oh, by the way, it's the worst.
Look what I found. Look, everybody. It is a Gundam. Look, Justin. This is what
I don't know what that is, man. See, let's get the throne. I do not know what that is.
I just want to show everyone my Gundam. This is a model that I built, bro.
Are you selling it? Can we sell it?
No, but I wanted everyone to take a look and see what a Gundam is. All right, let's talk about Game of Thrones. Oh, dude, you couldn't. This took hours to build.
Yeah, but it didn't cost me money. It's all profit.
Awesome. His head lights up too. His eyes light up. So listen, Game of Thrones season 8 is coming. I wanted to take this opportunity not only so we could shout out the cufflink stuff that's coming on, new Game of Thrones stuff, but because I love Justin's opinions on Game of Thrones. And you do have an interesting perspective, and I like the way you kind of hold to task the writers. And I may have a better opinion, but I'm happy to find out just from the little we talked so far, I am getting really excited. And when they announced that the show was coming out in April, we now have a release date, 6 episodes starting in April. Don't know whether it's early or late April.
It'll probably be around the 21st to get in for the awards.
Okay. All right, cool. That's good. There you go. So that means that we're going to go through April, March, and end in what? Early May then?
Yeah, it's 6 weeks. So yeah.
Okay. So are you excited or what?
Yeah, I am. I'm excited. You know, they released. I saw you sent me the article, the actual lengths. What did we end up coming up with for?
Well, so there's been a lot of question over the past whatever year or so, however long the hell it's been since the last episode aired. It came out pretty early. They were saying they're feature-length episodes, feature-length. And the crazy thing about Game of Thrones is, man, you just see the way this is like telephone game, right? Where you whisper into someone's ear and then someone says it and then someone reports it. And the way the internet is these days. So basically what happened is, if I have my timeline correct, early on, one of the directors said, there's so much, I don't see how these couldn't be like movies. Yeah. Then we started hearing about how this 55-day long battle that they shot, they started shooting. It came out. Now, the truth of the matter is they don't know how long these shows are going to be until they get into the editing room. Yeah. That's when they figure it out. So now they're saying over 60 minutes, whereas like 2 weeks ago, everyone was convinced that every episode was going to be a feature film, right? An hour and a half to 2 hours. No. I don't think. What do you think, Justin?
I am making the prediction. The prediction I made, 40 minutes of extra screen time max, and that's being generous. Probably more likely 25 minutes altogether for 6 episodes. You will probably have quite a few episodes at 74 minutes. And that's about it. You'll go about 14 minutes over that 60-minute runtime. You got to count credits. That's about, take out 2 minutes, about $1.30. And yeah, and it is like a 55-day shoot is not an indication of how long that is. You know what I mean? So,
all, dude.
No, and I'm not dogging on it, but it's just, you know, to be real, you're not getting like 3-hour movies. Oh, it's going to be like a movie. Listen, it is what it is. You know, they're getting out of Dodge, and hopefully they're going to get out of Dodge with as most dignity or integrity as possible.
Oh, okay.
That's my opinion. I mean, they're not. I mean, they're obviously okay. In fairness, Axel, I mean, come on. I mean, I don't think it's too out of line to say they're getting out of Dodge. They picked, you know.
No, you're right. You're
20% of story. I've said 35%.
I wanted you to go on. Yeah, I wanted you to
35%. I've said before, but that's more according to books, which is not proper for me to say that. Because I'd say there's 35% more story to be told in the books. But in the show, I'd say it's fair to say 20 to 15% of the story is left to tell, and they're doing it in 6 episodes. You know, you can't really tell me that that is not people that are just trying to just get it done.
I agree with you, Justin. I totally agree with you, brother.
But condensing it might be better, because if they can't stick the landing and they can't do it, if they can't recreate the fleshed out stories of the first few seasons, then they just need to, condense it and do it as best they can. If this is the way they feel they can do it, the best possible way they can, you know, put this work out, then that's the way they should do it, because they don't want to fail. You know what I mean? Like, they might be upset with this, and they are fed up, you know, and they make pompous comments to the press and people, you know, about the criticism they get. But in the end, they don't want to fail. So this has got to be what they see is the best method for them to put out the product they're putting out.
Yeah, and I have to say, I do have to, you know, when it comes to Dan and Dave, first of all, I'm very excited. I think that we're going to get fantastic feature quality production, perhaps not in the storytelling, which I think we can both agree with, right?
Yes.
But in the production, in the acting, in the you know, everything, the sets, the costumes, the CGI, everything. It's going to be absolutely probably the most amazing 6 episodes of television we've ever seen. Right?
It's going to be the prettiest 6 episodes of Game of Thrones ever. They are going to focus on what they can control.
Exactly. I agree with you. As far as us exiting quickly stage left so we can get to writing our 3 Star Wars movies.
Is that still on the board?
Yeah, no, Confederate's been canceled.
Yeah, that made sense.
Yeah, that's a good idea, especially nowadays.
It's like their capital.
That was a really stupid idea.
Yeah,
but and they didn't even have that was from jump. That was a stupid idea.
Read the room.
The aspect of them wanting to get out, I don't blame them either. I really don't. I think that we often, whether it's the other day I was talking about a little bit about Rian Johnson and the blowback from Last Jedi. This is a job. These are human beings, and they do have a career to think about. And quite honestly, I don't blame them. And I have often thought, look at a person like Sam Raimi. I loved Sam Raimi. I thought he was one of the most original directors around. Then he got hired to do Spider-Man. And then you lost him for 12 years doing Spider-Man movies. He comes back, he does an original, Drag Me to Hell, which to me was one of the best horror films that came out in the past 10 years. It was fantastic. All the way around, just a great, great little movie. So if they need to jump to, I guess their next thing is Star Wars, it's not always
a bad next thing.
Yeah, it's not always jumping to an original, which is my point, which is that this is their job and they want to do something different. And I don't think that they thought that Game of Thrones was going to be what it became. And you know, it's like they got to move on. And you have
they sign their next job before they finish this one, which is I'm not even joking. It's an industry rule. Get your next job.
You got to. You have to.
Out.
Yes. You don't quit until you're hired. Yes, exactly. And I don't blame them for this. I do agree that last season was told in a different way. You know, and you've talked about it before, Justin, and I like the way you look at it.
It's George screwed them. you know, I think Dan and Dave are the things that make me mad about them is like the actor that played Barristan Selmy, like totally was into the books and he did a lot of research, and we can all agree Barristan Selmy's death sucked. You know, and now there are plenty of viable reasons why they needed to axe him out of the show. That's fine. I don't really see them, but again, I'm not a part of this production. But the thing is, the comments they make to the press and to people on social media really tick off people when they already got enough going against them. Like, this guy wrote this whole like big, like, I don't know, like manifesto for them, you know, about why he should stay and what happens in the books. And they mentioned, they said that just made us want to kill him more. It's like, don't spit in the face of the fandom. The fandom goes both ways. But in all fairness, these guys don't have a whole lot of experience. You know, like they got Troy, Dave has Troy, and you know, and then they got Origins, and they have two. They both have a book between them that's pretty decent. The point is, they have adapted the unadaptable. They probably did not figure George was not going to finish the source material, and it is, you know, it's not really. George is just as much to blame for the poor quality of last season as Dan and Dave are, in my opinion. You know,
I mean, I don't. I hasten to kind of levy any type of blame in a sense, because I felt that there was a kind of natural progression to the way the story was being told. And though I do, when I watch season 1, if you go on to Podcast Winterfell, our last episode, Mike and I covered the original episode from a production standpoint. Like, we were directors watching it, you know, and talking about it. And the depth that I was able to find purely from a production standpoint that mirrored the story, right? Which is what you often talk about, what I often talk about, when you have the melding of the medium and the story, right? The visual medium and the story, like you had in the beginning of Game of Thrones. And then slowly these have kind of separated, you know? And what was pulling them apart, I'm not so sure if it's Dan and Dave, George, the industry itself, the viewers, our demands on what we want, in the sense, you know what I mean? Like, but that's the way it came. And I still like the last season, but have you rewatched it?
Yes. I mean, look at where the split is. Okay. Where people really start to crap on the series. And I'm not saying that the season is good. Season 5 is not good, but it's not bad because they totally botched the job. That's when you start dealing in the situation where George split the 2 books, Feast and Dance. Okay. George could not get all of his main POVs into one novel, and you can pretty lackadaisically, willy-nilly go around in a novel with your character POV changes. On screen, you must thread your characters and your transitions far more precisely, and it cannot be as harsh of a jump. You can't jump from, like, it's got to be blended better. So think about this. This guy he split up the main cast essentially into 2 different books because he couldn't make it work. So that's when you see Dorne, because you have a lot of people that are not, their arcs are not caught up. Like, Jaime couldn't leave Cersei yet, but so they needed Jaime to do something. They weren't going to do the whole Riverlands thing because they could get the sentiment of him that with the River Lords and all of that, with the siege of River Run and so forth. So they needed to give him something to do when Cersei was having her trial, because he could not depart yet. Because in the books, you know, they split it up. So they have characters that are literally like idle, and they have to wait for the other character to pull up, and then they can, you know, actually make the arc happen. So you're dealing with a lot of like holding out to a point, like, you know, throttling back on some characters and throttling forward on others. You know, like, imagine if they took half of the characters in season 5 and didn't include them. I mean, they didn't include Bran in one season, but, you know, like, imagine if they took like the characters from like George did in the books and didn't include them in a season. You know, they don't have that luxury. So if George can't make it work in the book as a single novel as it was supposed to be, we can't really expect the screen adaptation to be, you know, flawless. And again, it's not like anybody's to blame, but when people say, like, and I kind of like apologize for it, saying, oh yeah, like the books are so much better. When we talk about these seasons, you can't say the books are so much better, because I say, what books are better? There are no, but I'm not trying to be a dick or funny, but it's true.
Yeah.
There is no Winds of Winter, and there is no Dream of Spring.
And
so what book are you speaking of?
Yeah, and we had that article that we both read, just kind of talking in anticipation here on The Guardian, where I think you may have talked. Did you talk about it on a stream already, or the Grimm saying that the show kind of impaired his ability to finish the books, and talked about that? And I have to admit, I've said on podcast Winterfell, and for as long as I've been covering Game of Thrones, for I don't know, 4 years, however long it's been, I always thought that the dude had them written already, and they had an agreement not to release them until the show was done. But the more I actually look into it, and I must admit, being more of a show guy, I always kind of felt like, hey, he let him do what he did. I never really looked into it. The more I look into it, the more I believe him now. And after reading this interview, I came out really sympathizing with the guy, and feeling like he really I see how much he loves and enjoys meeting with the fandom and the people, and he talks to people, and like, I've watched these clips of him, people asking him these crazy questions, and like, I think I'm crazy for having my weird lost questions, but like, it's just like, that's why I was laughing when we did the giveaway, because it's like, you're a geek, you're a Game of Thrones head, and to come up with a trivia question, your mind starts. I could see it in your eyes.
I was trying to be fair about it, and then I was trying.
But it's just, you love it, man. You love it, and you indulge in it, and he does too.
The quality is unmatched. I'm sorry. The quality is unmatched, but the quantity is not going to be there. Like he says in this interview, he thought it was going to be a short story. It's like, Jesus Christ, you thought. But the way he creates is so beautiful, because he creates characters in the world, and then he lets the story come. And that is beautiful, because that is why we are so immersed. That's why I love finding out little details, because it's like you have a catalyst in your story, right? Like you need somebody to be like a thief or something. Like George doesn't just write a thief. He writes like a guy that turns, he is a thief, but there's like 10 generations behind him that's recorded, and why he's at where he's at, and why he's turned to this lifestyle. Like these there's people, there's more details about these people than I have about myself. You know what I mean? Like it's so great, but it doesn't lend itself when you're writing this saga-esque story. So like he said, like he feels like all the characters could have their separate books, and that maybe would be the way to go. It's like he knows how to tie up Jon and Dany and the Walkers. He just is like, he's over in Essos still, because he got these ADD like me.
But that's the point, right? Which is that you have the whole world, right, waiting for what's going to happen to the White Walkers, and what's the final battle, and what's this. And he is really sitting there thinking about some minor character.
The Marinee is not.
Or the way that a minor character interacts with another minor character because of their bloodline and whatever, and I'm like, that's where I sympathize with the guy. I never yell, hey, finish the book. Oh, you're late. But I mean,
he's not lazy.
He really cares. He really cares, man. He really seems like he cares about what he's doing, and he cares about what people think. And I think he is worried a bit about how the show will be taken, how the books will be taken. I think it'll be better off for the show to end, and perhaps that will ease his mind. And he'll be able to think again that the people he's writing for are people like you, are people like, when I think of the hardcore, like the History of Westeros cats, like my boy Matt, people who have read these books, who like live these books, and maybe not the general billions of people watching the TV spectacle Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I mean it
And
is.
I'm
I mean
okay
we
with
are the
that.
marketers for it. Yeah, Fandom D Saint made a comment that I need to bring up. Amanda, you do need to kick him out if he makes a vulgar comment like this again. I volunteer Stannis. Oh wait, he's dead. Is that funny, BBM? Stannis is the true king. Okay, watch your mouth, buddy. You know
See,
better.
I know nothing of these
I
things.
will smash his pops. Oh, he's a good friend, but he has made some poor decisions in his use of words here.
No, I mean like the stat, like that's what I'm saying. I love to hear you all geek out about that stuff and status in this. To me, he's the guy on the TV show.
Okay, now you need to watch it.
You know,
what's so great about it? I was talking about somebody about this other day with George's works. They're like, oh well, they're like, I don't see how that's interesting, you know, for like to have all this detail about these
I
people.
do, yeah.
Like, no,
I totally do.
I go, it's not the way that you pump out high concept screenplays. I go, it's no matter, even if you're talking about like a doctor or stupid drama, if you have a fleshed out world that these, not a verse, but if you have the more fleshed out your characters are and the more story and background you have for them, the better the show is, even if it's ER or something. Because when you're watching through the medium of television or film, you are being immersed and you know
Yes.
it's fake, but you're taking yourself to another place. It's escapism. Right. So it's just the more and more it's believable. But with like what he said, you know, I've read a lot of interviews with George talking about when he wrote for Beauty and the Beast, and he wrote mostly the B plot lines on that. So you got to figure that's a 60-minute show on network TV. So that's 44 minutes. Okay. He would say, and he said this over the years, it's always because I'm doing that project that I've been working on, looking at the amount of acts and how much story's been told. He consistently says in interviews over the years that when he worked at on network television, he would be always asked to cut about 7 to 8 pages. So if he's writing the B storyline for a 60-minute drama on network TV, he's probably got at most like 14 to 20 minutes of
that's what I was going to say.
Time.
Yeah.
Cut 8 pages. Each page of a screenplay is 1 minute of screen time. Yeah. So 8 minutes. So he's like me, no brevity. You know what I mean?
He's ending up with 8 minutes or 6 to 8 minutes.
Yeah, he's cutting people like, oh, only 8 pages. It's like, well, that's like 30,
depending on
40%.
Yeah, because you have to so much of, you know, you could do half a page coming in from a break or going into a break, you know, that you just have to kind of give to the intro, outro if you're kind of parsing it out. Yeah, man, I like this dude. I mean, first of all, Grimm's a Jersey guy. He's from Bayonne. I have to mention it every time. If you've ever been to Bayonne, have you ever been to Bayonne, Justin?
No.
Okay.
No.
I
they
live
told
near
me the passport place not to go there.
Yeah, well, you kind of have to pass through Bayonne. I think if you're coming through Newark, you're going to pass through there. But you would never in your life, if there is a complete opposite of a place you would think a guy who created Game of Thrones is from, Bayonne is that place, ladies and gentlemen. I lived in Jersey City for 10 years, which is right next to Bayonne. And Bayonne is so city and it is concrete and the one thing it does have is hills, which a lot of people do not realize that the part of New Jersey that overlooks New York, Weehawken, Jersey City, Hoboken, West New York, they're very hilly. So you could imagine in days past, before we put concrete on all of the beautiful natural land, the wonder you would see rising up, walk up a hill in Bayonne and seeing the island of Manhattan would very much be like some of these Game of Thrones type environments. And I've often thought that.
His stories about exactly what you're talking about. His family used to own. I'm going to get this wrong.
No, I had never heard about this.
He grew up very poor, but his family used to be wealthy, and this is kind of like where he got the inspiration. You know, the Targaryen, you know, being deposed or whatever. So I forget exactly if it was the manor. It was the house that his family used to own. It was this huge house, this huge building, and he would have to walk past it every single day from his home, which, you know, he was destitute. And he would look at it every single day and think that used to be ours.
Wow.
So you get where, you know, how like Danny feels.
Sense of history.
Yeah.
He's that type of dude, man. I'm sure. Because I got to tell you, my entire life, I grew up in Jersey, and riding into especially the Lincoln Tunnel, you see these cliffs, and I would always think to myself, this must have been absolutely mind-blowing before they concreted it over. It's just amazing. You don't notice the natural wonder of New York and New Jersey because it's all concrete. But anyway,
same thing with Detroit. But it's not. It's just really filthy.
I don't know much about Detroit, man.
I've
been to Detroit once. My man Michael from the What Up Doe podcast picked me up at the Detroit airport and drove me to my man A Hustler's wedding. These are all people you'll get to know. You'll see. We got to get Mike involved with some of this stuff. But anyway, that article actually, I have to admit that when I first clicked on it, I had a bit of a sarcastic kind of feeling like whatever. And then I read it and I just kind of thought about coming in, talking about this with you today. And I can feel where this guy's coming from. And as a fan of the books, I can see how people could be frustrated about seeing it end on the TV show first. But I've always thought these are two separate things. They're totally two separate things. But I can see the kind of pressure that he's feeling. And I don't know, if I was at one of these shows, I would say, hey, buddy, you did great, man. You created something that millions of people live in and love and have been able to express themselves from. So whatever happens, happens. And as far as the TV show as well, I have to admit, I am looking forward to the spectacle of it all.
It's gonna be like the 6 episodes make sense on if you look at it for what they need to do. They essentially need to create a fantasy movie for this last season. They need to confront the bad guys. You need your darkest before the dawn moment. They need to overcome the catalyst, and then you need to have your Shire moment. Like Lord of the Rings. I know they're gonna avoid the tropes and all that, but the point is, you basically have like like 2 Lord of the Rings movies you need to pump out, essentially, to tell the rest of this, and that's the way they're going to tell it. Most of this is going to be action set pieces, and then you're going to have
a journey.
Yep.
That's what you do. Everybody, you're Justin. That's why you're a good one, brother, because you see the path of the hero and the story that's being told, and how the people have to separate and then come back together. And then this is what we're going to see. Now, I have one question that I wanted to ask you because it's been on my mind, and it's kind of just a fun, what do you think's going to happen? I have for a long time, and I don't know, I've heard a bit about this being a theory in the books, but this is something that Heath and I talked about on podcast Winterfell last season. Do you think that Dany is going to take a turn in this final season? Do you think that she either becomes some sort of White Walker or because the whole fire versus ice thing, I've always felt that it's not going to be like that, and that he's going to throw a wrench in there. And I thought kind of the wrench might be that Dany ends up as an opposing force in the end. I don't know what the common fandom feeling on this is, and I'm probably tapping into something that everybody has an opinion on. But what do you think, Justin?
Well, common fandom. I mean, there is just crazy. It's all of us crazy.
Because I step in and out of this world. That's why I like talking about this. Like my world is all of fandom and stuff. But for Lord of the Rings, I almost said, for Game of Thrones, I'm kind of stepping back in now for these 6 months to get myself ready.
Yeah, don't go cold turkey, dude. But okay, so what you're speaking to, from what I'm getting, is like the Mad Queen theory that she is going to become.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Is that what you're saying, that she is going to become? She's going to take a heel turn. Is that?
Yes, exactly. Dany's going to become. She's going to either be on the side of the White Walkers in some way, absorbed by them, or she will then thus represent a third way. She'll separate from Jon and all the rest and be basically turn bad with power. Like the world is melting. I'm going to take it over now. I have to save it.
she has, the Targaryens have the, they say flip a coin when Targaryen's born, and heads or tails if they're going to be sane, paraphrasing as always. But okay, I mean, really, the only like popular theory about, like, she's not gonna, I've never seen people, I'm sure they do talk about her, like, becoming a walker. So I've never really seen that. I'm sure it's there. I mean, they said Varys was a merman, but the popular theory is that she is going to become like her dad, and become the Mad Queen. I don't see this. I mean, George writes about the struggle with it. And I see a situation where Dany could become opposed to Jon, but not like in such a forward way. I don't know how to explain this. She might find herself in a situation where her goals and his goals, whether or not they both are trying to do good, are not going to line up. Meaning, she's going to have to realize that her way of doing things, which it foreshadowed this a little bit, and Jon is trying to pull her away from, going and burning things with her dragons. Somebody's going to have to sacrifice. It's unlikely to be Jon, since he's already been killed, and it's not going to be as impactful if he's killed again. My opinion on this is that we're going to see either Tyrion die or Dany die. If this would have been 2 years ago, I would have took Tyrion off the table because George's connection to him. But now the connection to George isn't there. So I see that we are going to see one final dark moment. We're going to have one more, clink in the plan. It's going to be the darkest before the dawn moment. Either somebody is going to do something that is going to cause internal conflict. And I don't see
Sansa, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe, but I would lean more towards Tyrion now. But I really would say Dany is not going.
Oh, you're right, because they introduced. You know what? I forget, Justin, and I forgot that they introduced Tyrion listening to them having sex and being all weird about it.
Oh, he wasn't being weird. He was just, he liked.
Well, I meant he wasn't. I didn't mean he was.
Oh, why is that weird? Yeah.
You're such a sicko. I love it.
Yeah.
I just meant that he was like, he did not like it. He felt that it was bad for their cause.
And now he's changed. And now he's changed that comment. He has made a recent comment saying that people have been picking apart, which it must suck to be one of these actors. You say anything, especially look, I talk so much.
You gotta have fun with it.
But he said now that he was upset because he has feelings for her.
Oh, that's right.
But said what you said before. Yeah. And that's a drastic departure. So that makes you think that there might have been some changes in the script, or when he said that first statement, he didn't have this script.
Yeah, but I guess in essence, it's motivation. It serves the purpose of talking about what we're talking about anyway. You know what I mean? Like
we don't have enough time for Dany to have this arc of turning like to be like a full.
Yes,
we don't have enough time for that, but we have enough time for her goals, whether they be genuine and honest and good intended or not, to be in conflict in some way with Jon, and to have still that conflict. So she's not going to turn into the cackling, witch, but she could end up, I see her dying. I just really, I mean, one of them's going, and it's going to be what it is. I don't see a turn like that though.
Okay.
But yeah, it's out there, but I could be wrong too, because I mean, it's fan fiction versus fan fiction at this point.
Do you think that, I try to pick out like a TV moment, right? And for me with Game of Thrones, I just feel like they didn't really do it last season. And I feel like that they are holding out on a kind of like, I don't know how other way to say it, because everything I'm like Bill Simmons. I don't know if you listen to Bill Simmons. Every time he references something, it's about the Patriots or the Boston Celtics. Every time I reference something on TV, it has to be about loss, so I'll just do it anyway, which is like we need like a donkey wheel moment here where something absolutely fucking insane happens. And I think Dany turning into a White Walker or something like that, or dying quickly, I think I said, listen, I like your idea. I think that, and I think if it would happen quickly, like the second episode, like we get the first episode, they've spoiled us a little bit about it, that, for those, I'm sure everyone listening and on the live stream knows that whatever. There's going to be some sort of like mimicking of season 1's first episode where it's kind of like the queen arrives, you know, where we had Robert arriving. And I think that that's very interesting. So we have that first episode, we settle in, you know, something happened, blah, blah. Then like second scene, second episode, she dies. I just feel like they're going to do something like that. So I can't, but I feel like she would have to come back and still be a part of the show. Don't you?
Well, I mean, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm not, you know, I mean, it's just, I don't agree with her becoming a White Walker.
Not a white. I don't see him.
No, I'm not, listen, I'm just saying I don't agree with it. I mean,
listen,
I said I'd never talk about Thrones again if Sansa wasn't killed by Arya in season 6, which I didn't actually say that. It's a different channel. So you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm not like, I'm not like, who am I? I'm not like, oh, I'm like, I don't agree. But
I meant, I just want to clarify the difference. I know, because we have to do this between a white and a White Walker. And I know obviously somebody is going to say, well, if she died, she'd become a white. I was like, no, what I mean is because she's Dany, she becomes something else.
It would be the Night Queen theory that she would become the Night. There's some lore.
There's a theory.
And there are people there's definitely people.
I know that theory. I know that story of the Night Queen. Yes.
I'm against that. I see, because the opening scene we know is in Wintertown. That is the town outside of Winterfell where they go during the winter. And the reason that is the opening scene is because guess what? Winterfell is about to get torn to shit. Want to know what you have to do? You have to make red shirts, meaning peasants, dying matter. So what you do? You show them doing their peasant life, and you show them, you know, having a family moment. You know those moments where that you see people and you're like, oh shit, these people are gonna die.
You mean like The Walking Dead every episode when they introduce the new character and tell you how great they are, and then they die 2 minutes later.
Thanks, Chris. You're such a help. He's like, I just like to do the right thing.
When you're at home going, God, The Walking Dead has finally got a good character, and then they die.
I'm a fan of Judith Grimes, but he's like, hey, I'm Chris, and I like to do the right thing. I'm like, you're fucking dead. But I see more so the issue being, it would make a lot of sense for her to die in childbirth with the the reoccurring history and stuff like that. But it's tough to say. What has Dany wanted the whole time? The throne, right? So what is the biggest? If you're going to subvert the trope, and we're not going with the chosen one, and we're not going with a hero's journey, what do you do with that? How do you have character progression and still have some type of a ending that meets your theme, meaning like the theme that the government, the societal changes need to happen. The people that are left, we're probably not going to see these changes, but the people that are left are going to have to be people we believe are going to make the right decisions. So what I see is Dany, her sacrifice will be passing up power. You know, Jon has been trying to avoid power, even though I have a little George Washington theory about him. He's like the guy that wears the army uniform to every single Congress meeting. And then when they pick a general and it's him, he's like, oh, shucks, me? They're like, yeah, you dress in your damn uniform every day. You're the only one. Jon's kind of like that guy that everything falls in his lap. And he's like, oh, I didn't want to be king, but oh, shucks, I'll do it. So Dany wants the throne. So what is her conflict? To be offered the throne and to pass it up. Whether that's, I think that if she does it on her own volition, meaning she's like alive, she doesn't pass it up because she died, that's a better story. That's a better character moment. But I agree, there's going to be a shock, but I think the shock is going to be, spoiler, I think it's going to be, they're going to not so much explain why the White Walkers have come. I don't think they're going to land that. I think they're going to really just try to pass off saying who the Night King is. They're going to make him a Stark, or they're going to do something, and that's going to evoke emotion. They're going to be like, I know who the Starks are, so blah, 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 because I don't think we're going to get a fleshed out answer for why they came now. I have the theory that their compass is wrong, and they thought they were heading north, but they're going south. They're like, oh, shit, we're sorry. I'll send some people to fix that wall. Yeah, we thought we were going there. But yeah, I mean, no, your Night Queen theory, I mean, we could bet, because I've been wrong a lot. So
I don't. You know what, man? I got to get back into it. And I'm going to rewatch probably a good amount of the whole series leading into this. And I'll have tons of theories. I just wanted to throw one out there because I just feel like they are going to hit us with something. And I like your idea that you had right there. I think that's a pretty cool idea. I'm sure
that the Night Queen theory, it's nothing to scoff at by any means. I don't like it, but
hey, you know what? As we were speaking of earlier, it might end up that one of us is right in a book and one of us is right on a TV show. Yeah. And, it could be a lot different. But hey, listen, man, I do want to wrap things up. We've been going pretty long here. Do you have anything else about Game of Thrones that you want to say? Or I know we'll talk again about Game of Thrones. I'm sure we have a lot of time.
I might cover it. I don't know. No, I'd like to thank everybody. And again, guys, I know this might have been kind of unconventional. Again, sorry for my travesty of a trivia question. I failed.
I think you did great.
But no, this is, a podcast that Axel does 5 times a week. I join him once a week, and make sure to go to his Patreon and to iTunes and download it. And thank you again to our sponsor. That's awesome. Anytime people support creativity, I'm all about it. And again, I wear ties on my own volition, so I need some of those ties my way. Milt.
I'm sending you out. I'm gonna send. I have actually. Let me see, man. I have like a little box here. And I just
want to take that Hand of the King thing and throw it at you and be like, if you take it off again, I'll pin it on Jaime Lannister.
Oh, you know what? I did want to say, for people wondering why I'm wearing this ratty old shirt to be live on YouTube, I forgot to say it in the beginning. I decided to wear this sweatshirt here because this is actually my Wits End sweatshirt, if you can see, and Wits End Film Crew, and Wits End was a place that supplied a lot of products to us when we were PAs, Mike and I in New York.
Production assistants on commercials and TV and photo shoots, and we would pick up a bunch of stuff from Wits End and also from a place called Kits and Expendables, and I have a Kits and Expendables sweatshirt too. But actually, this kind of made me feel like I was a little more in touch with film and such. And I've actually had this since 2000. So this is 18 years old, this sweatshirt that you're seeing. So that's a kind of quality that Wits End provided. What I like is that you worked in the industry.
I did.
People don't like to do on YouTube. It's no.
Actually, I had talked about this. Somebody wrote in, our great friend of the pod, Ando Calrissian, was talking about. I think it's good to have. I think it's good to have experience, but I think a great thing to have is an interest. I just think that people, if you're talking about film and television, you should have an interest in how it's made as well. Perhaps you never worked in it. It's good to have done that so you can have some real world experience of how things are made. But I just find on the YouTube, on the Twitter, on the podcast, sometimes I listen to people and they comment upon how things are made without taking into account that there's actually human beings doing hard work to accomplish making these films and TVs. And that's why I immediately connected with you, Justin, because you have experience as well and you have an interest in it too. And that's what it's about for me. Like, if you're going to spend so much time talking about a TV show, but you never even crack the book open to figure out like how a camera works or how you set up a shot or how you set up a scene or how you write a script, then
best not talk about cinematography, best not talk about pacing.
Exactly. Like you need to, like, in this day and age where we have so much content creators, I just kind of feel like I want to say to everyone, I was an educator on film. I taught film production and video for 15 years in high school at public access stations. And one of the things I always taught people was to demystify this process. And the way that you do it is to read about it and understand that making a movie, making a TV show, writing a book, writing a script is just like building a house. It's just like, making a computer program or playing a video game. Like, you have to follow steps.
You can't just.
It just doesn't boom.
But people mistake being a fan of something as being an expert in something. It is great to share passion if you do reactions and now reactions like Phantom Desane, he actually does breakdown, and he has a good edge. I believe you're going to be English teacher of some sorts or whatever. But anyways, you know, like, but people that just like do reactions like that aren't in depth like his, that are just enjoying it, that's fine. But I don't like seeing people that have never taken a writing course, that have never written anything, or have never handled a camera, talk about cinematography, talk about pacing, talk about story arc in detail. It's fine to say I didn't like this, but
it doesn't have to be professional either. Just that they have an interest in it, Justin, you know, because not everyone has the opportunity to be a professional. I was lucky. I lived in New Jersey. I lived right next to New York. You know what I mean? Like, if you live in Alabama, it might not be very easy for you to become a part of the film community. But these days, pick up your iPhone.
Yeah, and it's not that you have to be a professional, but if you also don't have to have a YouTube channel, and you don't have to go speak about something that you're not informed about. Yeah, and you can go watch lectures on YouTube, do anything, say something other than a hero's journey to me. That's the only thing I say, you know. And I try to be more passionate about, or more understanding, you know, because I find I dump on stuff a lot, but you know, because I get disappointed, but I am so aware of the human side of it, the person that's actually behind it. And that's why I've always been like, when people are so sure that George has the stories written and all that, it's like, you know, and again, I don't work in Hollywood, but I've been in writer rooms, you know, like for Second City. When you see the process, you understand that when you've been in the moment where you're trying to figure out what's going to happen next, that carries on to the highest level. This isn't just a machine that's going to write it out. There's a good chance that they're not going to finish it. It's not being negative. It's just like, hey guys, he's a human. Trust me, these writing rooms are fucking crazy. And there's a great chance that these guys aren't going to stick the landing. So
I like that you said that.
I appreciate that.
Justin, I'm sorry to interrupt, brother. I love that you said that it goes on to the highest levels. It's just like we see in our society. People have expectations that you get because there's a lot of money or time, that somehow these people become something other than fallible human beings.
Yeah.
Like there's still people, you know, going to take a crap, picking their nose and needing to eat because they're hungry, making Game of Thrones or making anything you're watching. It's human beings, and they do make same mistakes and foibles. And and like you're saying with Dan and Dave, we have to be honest. Yeah, they want to move on to something different. You know what I mean? Like, that's just reality. Maybe they don't want to spend 50 years doing Game of Thrones. Maybe George wanted to take, with all the happenings on Game of Thrones and it being the most popular TV show in the world, maybe he wanted to regress from that a little bit and work on the Ice and Fire book, or work on Wild Cards, or work on Nightfire, work on going to a comic convention, because he's a human being and he needed to find inspiration again. You know? Yeah. So anyway,
it's not, their work is great, and then you get the machine behind them, the industry machine that puts anything you put out, and it's so polished and beautiful, so it makes it like it's not even like even to me. I'll sometimes have to remind myself, it's in, you know, you can't even comprehend how this wouldn't be good, you know, because it's shiny. But
you know what I'm realizing as I'm looking at the video is I shake my leg a lot, so it looks like I'm like having an earthquake over here. Do you?
I thought it was something. No.
Oh my God. I noticed that too, but it's like, I'm a leg shaker. I don't know if people, I always sit there shaking my leg like my whole life.
Oh, we're on YouTube, so people are going to make, somebody told me I exhale too much, I have high blood pressure. I'm like, mind your own fucking business.
Oh God, I probably have high blood pressure. All right, you know what? Let's wrap this up, baby, because you and I could go on and on. I just want to tell everyone, check out dvrpodcast.com. Subscribe to Top Shelf Fandom. I'm going to put the link in the show notes and on the website. Justin and I are going to be doing this once a week. I want to come up with a name for the show or something. We'll talk about it, but I love doing this. Like Justin said, daily DVR is available 5 days a week to patrons, 3 days a week to everyone else. You get it ad-free with the patronage. And you also get my Tuesday and Thursday shows where I just kind of talk relaxed. But Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is sponsored by cufflinks.com. We want to thank them for providing the awesome tie and pin. I've already received an email from Milton and from Jenny. They're super excited, so I'm going to send that stuff out to you. Send your feedback to dvrpodcast@gmail.com. Justin, I'm going to let you take us out and tell everybody where they can find you, reach you, and see more of your great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to Top Shelf Fandom, which is the official name of the channel. I have changed, I've rebranded, and it is, we got our regular videos, which I'm doing more long formed, fleshed out videos, but there's going to be less of them. But I am doing 3 video podcasts a week, and one of those goes to Patreons because, again, I'm withholding the content to try to get more Patreon. On a real note, though, $3 a month from you, that would probably be barely noticeable. It makes a world of difference for me to pay for my Adobe memberships. I just try not to go broke. And yeah, come check out my videos. I've got Viking stuff that came out yesterday. I've got a video podcast I recorded with In Deep Geek Robert earlier, right before this. I'm on a marathon today. Maybe that's why I'm not on so much.
Oh, hey, Justin, I forgot to tell you. I am going to have Robert on the show on Friday, and we're going to talk a little bit more Game of Thrones. I just was looking at my Twitter and saw that we confirmed that. Isn't that awesome?
Oh, well, now I don't feel like such a special gal. No, that is.
Well,
no,
I met him through. I mean, I knew of him before, but I want to say thank you too, because you helped hook that up, brother.
That's what I do. I'm like eHarmony, baby.
You are.
But our Tinder. I'm more like Grinder. But anyways, yeah, thank you guys. Bad jokes aside, I'm sure this podcast will be fun for your listeners. But yeah, thank you guys, and thank everybody in the chat. I always want to give a big shout out to my faithful mod, Amanda, Chrissy of Old Stones, OTDA, Fandom D Saint. Even though you are a filthy man and talk about Stannis again, I will Blood Eagle you. And we got the Westerosi Ninja, who won his tie, and Miss Meetups, and a whole bunch of other people that stopped by. Alicia Kingston, who we linked in below, and we had her feedback. She has a wonderful channel. John Haymaker, that's an awesome name too. And Living Me Rep City, and everybody else. Jenny of Old Stones, a lot of people that stopped by. That's really nice. So thank you guys. And yeah, it wasn't as structured as it usually is, but we like to have fun here. We're fun guys. So yeah, make sure to tune in, subscribe to Axel over there, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. And we will see you guys soon. It'll sound better when there's music on that.
Look, the Gundam's eyes light up.
I don't like that Gundam, man. I don't like it.
You don't like it?
$7, everybody, for that Gundam. I don't know what it is.
No way, dude. This is awesome, dude. This is an MG.
Westeros in milk. Yeah, send that tie to me. I'll make sure it gets the milk. All right, thank you guys.